Welcome back to Market Making Mondays, episode 12. And in this episode, we'll be talking about what happened in the market last week with New Zealand dollar setups that I'm currently looking at. You already know how it goes. Run my intro. Hey friends and new traders, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Matt and I teach day traders just like you how to become profitable by teaching different tips and strategies. With that being said, let's get into this one. Last week, if you watched Market Making Mondays episode 11, you would hear me say, clearly you heard me say if you watched it, and if you haven't, make sure you go back and watch it. So last week I said I predicted what the market was going to do, and it did exactly that. It hit the levels, the exact levels I said it was going to hit. It didn't happen in the order I said it's going to happen, but it still hit those levels and did exactly what I said it was going to do. So last week I said I made this level right here, which was a gap, was started from the end of this wick right here, this weekly wick right here. So this was a forever paid gap that needed to be closed. Could market make it more clear so you guys can see, but there is a line there that I drew. But originally it was like this, and I knew that the gap needed to be completely filled. All right, so as you can see, last week it did fill that level. But what I said what was going to happen last week, this is what I said the market was going to do. So the area that I'm looking at for a possible pullback is right here, which is a gap. So it needs to fulfill this gap. And you can see that the negative 27 fills that gap perfectly. So that is my prediction for next week. All right, so here's that weekly level right here. This is the 4-hour chart. The weekly level that I just showed you guys with the gap is right here. All right, so last week I said when the market came down like this, is a 4-hour gap, forever pay gap, that it didn't completely close. Right? This was last week, how the market looked. It just made this down move. And then last week I said the market is gonna push up, if not push up, or push up a little bit, and then come back down, close in the gap, and then go to this weekly level right here and close it in. I also had this ascending trend line as well. So as you can see, the market actually hit the weekly level first and then came down and closed in the gap. But I want to let you guys in on a little secret of mine that I use all the time. So, like I said, I was still expecting this to close in, right? So even at this weekly level, I could have like sell it all the way down to here when it closed in the gap, but that's okay. So I knew that the market was still gonna come back up because as soon as it tapped it, it just shot right back down, right? I think some news release came out why it just went that way. So it shot up, came down, closed in the gap. All right. Something to be aware of when you see like a wick like this, like go to the daily. See, we got a huge wick like this. It came above it, closed, and came back down and closed, right? On the daily chart, when you have a big wick like this, most likely the next day or the following day, it's going to want to close in on that wick. It's going to want to fill that whole entire wick. All right, so for example, well, clear as day now. You can see that it headed back towards the weekly level. So it closed in the 4 hour gap, which is right here, and then it came back and closed in that weekly level, which I said it was gonna do last week. So, and as you can see, we kind of have this descending trend line as well. So that was an extra confluence to of where price could possibly head towards. Um, as far as the market is concerned, if this level is held, I'm pretty sure that I have this daily gap right here, which is this daily gap right here, which is highlighted as well. So you can actually move this over to our next possible target if this descending trend line is broken, which I think it might just actually break. And then we could see from there, because I do have a couple 4 hour levels lined off as well. Could go to the 4 hour. So as you can see, this is it's not a 4 hour. Let's see what this is, because I did mark it off for a specific reason. So we have this daily level right here. Wow, and you can see it even on the 1 hour. We have a lot of gap right here that needs to be filled. So even this daily gap, it's gonna want to surpass this daily gap, because look at this entire candlestick on the 1 hour. It's just one big candlestick, and it's gonna want to fill that void, because there was nothing, or just one move to the downside and nothing to the upside. So it's gonna want to fill this in eventually. So even before it gets to this red line, which I marked off, and yeah, so these are 1 hour levels where the market just showed one movement to the downside. So that's why I have it marked off, as you can see right here. So this needs to be filled. These forever pay gaps. And we also have one right here. So big moves in the market. I think going towards the upside. If you're wondering why the market is going to the upside, based off of technical analysis I just showed you, there are spots in the market that have not been filled. It's only been one way to the downside, and there has to be up movement to balance out the market. That's what it's all about, finding liquidity and balancing out the market. So for next week, for New Zealand dollar, it's just the same thing as every week. Just looking for spots where the market could possibly pull back. So just remember something about the market. It's always going to want to fill in these voids where there's space in the market. One side of the market just going upwards. And if you see like a forever pay gap, it's going to want to come back and fill that void. So, and then even seek more liquidity like above a high, because you could tell there's a lot of liquidity right here, as far as like you see this big wick. Why did the market just move like that? There's a reason, because there's a bunch of liquidity sitting right here. So eventually the market is going to want to come back and take out this high. So early next week you could possibly see the market come back up, possibly touch this. If not, just look for the pullback. Just look for the pullback and enter your trade. Once you look for the pullback once this high is taken out, and then you could possibly see the way, based off the way the market moved, like this straight to the upside. I would think it will come back down to the 32, possibly the 32 retracement level. If I was to pull out the Fibonacci, based on how it moves, I could possibly predict what level of interest I'm looking at as far as the Fibonacci is concerned. So a straight movement to the upside really quickly, really rapidly, I would expect it just to come back down, a short retracement back to the 32 retracement. And if we see another like quick movement one way down, then possibly the 62 retracement, which will possibly fill in this gap right here that needs to be filled. And like I said, just like last week, you could expect the market to even like do it again, like because it just loves to repeat itself, right? So just like I said before, like for this, as this is an example, we get a highlighter tool to show you guys clear as day. So as you can see right here, the market came up, came back down. As it came down, it didn't completely fill this gap right here. I only did like up to here, as you can see. And then it came up, and then it completely filled the void, the forever pay gap, right? So who's not to say that it's not going to do the exact same thing again next week? So if you guys are like really patient, you could actually wait for like, say you don't get in the on the initial pullback, like say it does something like this where it goes up, comes back down to like maybe this trend line that I have, doesn't completely fill the void. You wait for it to go higher again, taking out this high, and then wait for it to pull back again, which will probably be the 62 retracement. On this pullback, once it takes out this low, filling in the forever pay gap, then you could possibly look for it to take the high up to the daily level. Another thing to be aware of, we do have a gap right here as well, but the market right now seems like it's on a tear to the upside because we do have even a gap right here, but you can see that it didn't fill this gap. It's gonna want to, the thing about this filling gaps, it's gonna want to fill the most recent gap. So say there's a gap right here, but then it makes another gap following that gap. So let me show you guys real quick. A lot of gems in this one, a lot of gems. So this was the first initial gap that the market made, and it did not fill it. Reason why, there's another gap right here. So it's going to want to fill the most recent gap. So don't think that the market is going to want to completely come down and fill this gap. Plus we got a level of support as well right here, as another layer of protection for it not to go any lower, if that makes any sense. So just another rule of to why, like what level it could possibly hit. So that was another support level as well. So, and as you can see, price has taken off. So I'm just gonna wait for this pullback this week and then enter the trade. Pretty solid trade setup, as you can see, if you guys just are patient and wait for the gap to be filled, or if you want, you could enter on the original pullback, the first pullback. But it might just, who's to say that it might not just come all the way down, fill in this gap, and then go higher. But this is a level of interest that I have. As you can see, there is a daily gap. And then even on the daily level, you can see too, right? We got this one level where that's where the gap begins on the daily level right there. So the market is going to want to come back and hit this level. Check on the 4-hour. As you can see, it lines up right there. So it's going to want to fill that void at some point next week, possibly towards the end of next week, which is always where the fire setups are, towards the end of the week. going into like Friday or the weekend. So Thursday, Friday are usually when I particularly look for my setups. The beginning of the week, I don't really like to trade because it's just always trying to figure out what it wants to do at the beginning of the week. For me personally, I don't like to trade on Mondays. So, all right, so that was New Zealand dollar, what I expect the market to do for the following week. I hope you guys really take your time and watch these videos and see exactly how the market is moving, how I'm able to predict what is happening in the market and what the next move is going to be in the market. So I hope this video was valuable and informative. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification button to know exactly when these videos drop. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of y'all day, evening, or night, whenever you decide to watch this video. And I am out. Peace.